Hello and welcome to this playthrough and tutorial of A City of the Great Machine. It's a sweet little Kickstarter that just received it at my house last week. We're going to go through the solo and co-op rules. It's the first Kickstarter I backed and finally received. It's actually the first of many. Open the floodgate. We're not going to talk about that right now. I tried to do a two-handed pretend playthrough of the one versus many. It was kind of tough. I was trying to pretend not to know what the other hand's doing and try to guess what each other's motivations were while at the same time trying to learn the rules. So I went into the solo game still feeling a little bit unsure. I tried to add new rules and components to a game that I wasn't even completely had a full playthrough of yet. But I pushed through it. I'm glad I did. It's really a solid, streamlined, meaty play experience for solo when things make sense in your head. So this video is hopefully a shortcut to get you to that point earlier. I think the reason that this one works so well is that hidden movement's just one of many little parts of this game. It's got so many other things that there's more to work with when you're making a solo variant. I won't go through all the rules on how to play the base game, but I will show you how to set up solo, how the base game rules work with it, some of the differences in the mechanics, and at the very end we'll do a couple of example turns of play. Hopefully it'll get you to the point where it clicks for you. You can take off on your own. And solo, all of this applies to co-op play as well. So let's go to the table. First, let's go over the setup, what you're going to be using from the main game, what you're going to be switching out for the solo module. The map layout is the same. Here I've got the first suggested layout from the rulebook, nothing special. As a side note, it's cool that every little expansion they have for this game, it also provides components for the solo module. So you're not just adding things to the big game and not able to use them if it's just you playing. You're still using 3 characters. In solo, you're controlling all 3. If you're in co-op, you're dividing them up between the players. The Great Machine itself is controlled by this automa deck. The clock, the discontent that you use is the same, but the machine uses the clock a little bit different. You'll always start with the master plan pointing to 1. The discontent is the third blip. You're going to put this red building, they call it the progress marker, at the first, they call it the 0 discontent section. This is kind of a timer for letting the machine bump up its master plan, but we'll take a look at that later. You'll grab the smaller city card event deck. That's like standard card size. It's made exclusively for this mode. It's all the same. It doesn't have the part level 1 or level 2 cards. It just has all of them and then the countdown card. So you'll put that countdown card on the bottom. Shuffle up the rest of the cards. You'll remove 4 of them and then put the rest on top of the countdown card. You'll be setting up the machine's components, so you put their servants all in the Grand Citadel starting spot like usual. You'll take these solo servant cards that tell you the mechanics for each servant, put them in a column. This column will show you top to bottom how they're going to act in each round, what order they're going to go in. They can be in any order, but they recommend Phantasmer at the top, the Judge Mentor at the middle, or whatever his name is, and Lex Hecate at the bottom. You'll take this small deck of cards with boots on the back. You'll shuffle these. These are the servant movement cards. There's a difficulty scale in the back of the reference book you can use. It mainly involves adding and taking away cards from this deck. There's these 3 no action cards, rest cards. If you're playing the easiest level, you'll leave all 3 of those in. There's a few other tweaks for difficulty, but you can look at that on your own. Take these 9 directive cards for the solo co-op. They look similar. They have similar names to the base game, but there's different symbols at the bottom. They have slightly different text on the cards for what the machine's going to do when they're activated. Shuffle all these, leave them face down. Take these 9 district tokens, shuffle them and place them face down. The instructions say you can put them in a 3x3 grid if that's easier for you. These you'll be using, they have a symbol for each different district. You'll be using these to resolve whenever you need to find a random location. You'll flip one of these tiles. If the tile that you flip isn't possible, you flip another and another until you can find one that you can use. You keep them all flipped up until they're all face up, and then you'll reshuffle that pile face down. So that means as you get further through it, the flipped up ones, you're going to know which ones are up and which ones are coming up, so it'll kind of give you an advantage the further you get through the pile of what's left. Take these blue guards and the raid and riot tokens, keep them near the board. In this mode, you're going to choose which mission you're playing. There's 4 to choose from. each with a card set. You don't have to play with them, but it really fleshes out the game. The basic idea is that there's objectives that you need to accomplish before you can get access to your riot tokens. It also gives you neat little bonus actions to save for the right moment. If you're using missions, you'll take the 3 icon tokens, assign them randomly to your 3 characters. There's like a rose, some goggles, mechanical bird. There's some things in the game that refer to these symbols, so when they do, they'll be referring to the characters that they're attached to. You can also use them on some of your missions to put on the board. You'll take the mission A and B cards from your mission that you're choosing, set them out, read them, see what's on them. You'll be working on A and B simultaneously, and once both of those are done, you can pull out the C card, work on that. Look at those mission cards and set aside any extra tokens that the missions tell you to be in use. For this first mission, you'll be using the ambush and the servant action tokens. Then you can read the mission flavor text in the back of the reference book. It explains your objectives a little bit more. The board setup is the same. You'll put your characters where their card shows where they're supposed to go. You put 2 orange guards in each district, 1 famous citizen face down on each blue outlined spot in each district. Remember that the last 3 citizens will go in the machine's arrest area. The main difference with the citizens in the solo mode is that once you identify them, they become revealed, unlike in the base game. This makes it easier for you to get income off of them, but remember that where they're also at is also makes it easier for the machine to arrest them because they're all face up. So now we can start walking through a round and see what comes up. First, like every round, we draw the first event card. This gives us 4 pieces of information. At the top of the card is a requirement. It's called the security protocol, I believe, that we want to have at the end of the round. And if we can't get it, the machine's going to add one of these blue guards to a random district location. They act just like regular guards, but since the machine doesn't move guards around on the board in the solo game, it acts to buff up certain areas. The difference with the blue and the orange guards is that when you use an action to break a blue guard, it's removed from the board and put back into supply, unlike when you break an orange guard, they just lay down. Anyways, the top requirement is either the icon of a location that we have to have a character in, or it's a price we have to collectively pay in trust tokens to avoid having this random blue guard come out. If we successfully accomplish that, we have a secondary bonus we can try for, usually paying or doing something to increase the discontent. But remember, you can only do this if the blue guard thing was avoided. The third thing on the card is how we prevent the master plan from increasing at the round's end. Otherwise, it bumps up 1. And the fourth thing is on some of the cards in the shaded area on the bottom, it'll give some sort of advantage to the heroes for this round. Once the event's out, we'll get our income. Remember, it's 1 trust for each citizen in your district, 2 trusts if it's a revealed citizen that's activated already by where the clock is. The machine doesn't use bonds in this version, so that's one less thing to worry about. We'll do our hero phase where we choose our activation cards to play like normal. Put them face up because no one's peeking at our cards in this version. And remember, during setup, we have one of each hero's cards randomly forfeited to the machine, so you're not playing with a full deck. So once you've made your choices, the machine starts through its turn. First, you're going to do the servant movements. So this comes from that deck with the boots on it, in the order that you have the servants in the column. The first one's going to draw a card, set it to the left of the servant card in this little spot. The servant will move where it says and take 1 action. There'll be 6 different types of icons telling you where to move, and then the servant card itself will tell you what action you'll take. So this is the rest or no action card, one of the easy cards. The servant doesn't move, it doesn't take an action, and it can't detain anybody. So this is kind of your getaway free round. This is a movement that corresponds to the hero tokens that we gave out at setup. So that servant is going to move to the district that the hero that currently has that symbol is at. And then the servants are going to take an action there. It doesn't lead to detaining yet, but it can have some effects. If you have a directive card out, for example, if you lose 2 trust if a servant moves into your area, then that's going to activate when he moves into your area. This card gives you a direction to move the servant 1 space into. So you'll try and use the routes that are on this card, but if you can't, then you'll try each one clockwise until it can move, and then it will take an action. This is a stay put card. They don't move, but they do their action, and they can detain you. This is move to the central square and take an action. And this is a stay put card, but the action that they take this round isn't going to be their normal action. They're just going to put out a random blue guard. So when they get to their action phase, each servant is going to have the same three choices on their card: arrest, repair, take a district action. But they're in different priority order. So after the servant moves, you're going to see which guy that you're working with. You'll try and do the topmost action first. If you can't, or it's not possible to do that, you'll move down to the next one, try and do that. If you can't do that, you'll go down to the third and try that. Arrest means that they'll take one revealed and active citizen from their location, so a citizen that's flipped but is also active per your discontent clock. They'll take it and they'll put it in jail. If there's several to choose from, they'll choose the one that has the lowest number. The repair action means they'll repair all the broken guards in that district. And then blue guards, of course, don't count because when they're damaged, they just disappear. And the take the district action means that you'll do one of the four different things depending on where the servant is at. If it's a minor district, they're going to move the progress marker counterclockwise one section. That's the red building thing. The way that this progress marker works is if the red building ever comes around, moves through each section, and meets your discontent arrow coming the other way, it'll bump the master plan up by 1, and then it will reset to the 0 spot, and then keep moving if it has leftover movement. So as you increase your discontent up higher, this buffer zone's going to shrink and shrink because it's got less space to move through before it hits your arrow again and bumps up the master plan. So the further you get through the game where you're bumping up that discontent quite a bit, that master plan can get moving pretty quickly. The Grand Citadel and the Tower of Law, those spaces are both kind of paired because they do the same thing. If the Great Machine doesn't have a directive card in his hand and it's in there, it will draw one face down so you don't see what it is. Or if it has a face down one already, then it's going to play it and activate it. It can have 3 active directives at one time. If it gets a 4th one, it'll knock the first one back to the bottom of the deck. And then if it's got directives out and the heroes trash one, the trashed one will get taken out of the game. I think in the base game it goes back to the player's hand, but you're actually removing it from the game if you trash it. When they get to the control nexus, the machine will swap out 2 locations. So it's different than the base game where he's just moving one location to another location. You're going to go through that random token deck until you get 2 locations that will qualify. They qualify if they have at least one free side available. So you'll take those 2 locations, just pick them up, swap their positions, and that's that. And finally, if they're at the central square, the machine will push back that red progress marker a number of steps equal to the number of citizens in that space minus the number of guards in that space. So that's the end of the machine's turn. There's a couple of situational rules to tack on. If the servant ever can't do any of its 3 actions, like arrest, repair, or district action, it'll place a random blue guard somewhere on the board as its action. And servants will always take 2 actions instead of 1 if they land on a raid token in a district. So unlike the base game, these raid tokens will go into the district whenever you have a successful riot there, and it doesn't get taken off until there's no longer any active citizens. So the machine turn ends, you'll leave the movement deck alone until it has less than 3 cards left in it. So then in that case, you'll reshuffle it into a new stack. So then the hero phase begins. It's basically identical to the base game. In initiative order, you'll be moving your hero to the spot that you choose. You'll pay the movement cost. You'll take your action like breaking a guard, raising discontent, identifying moving citizens, using the district action, gaining trust. But in order for you to take the riot action, however, you're first going to need to get some riot tokens, because you don't start the game with these. You don't get them until you completed some of your mission goals. So activating your mission card is something new in this version. It's a free action you can take after your movement, but before you do your action. So if the mission says interaction, and you qualify for what it says, you can put down your hero token or whatever for free. Even if you're detained, you can do this. The action on the mission card is something you can spend your actual action doing if you qualify. And the objective is the condition that you're trying to satisfy to complete this mission. If you do, you'll get a one-time benefit at the bottom of the card at the end of the round, and then a riot token. So after you complete A and B, then you'll be able to pull out the C card and get your working on your third riot token. The only other thing that you're worrying about on your turn is getting detained. So if your hero goes into an area where the servants are, you're automatically detained unless they're resting on a no-action turn. If you get detained, you'll look at the servant card that you ended up with. It'll tell you what it does for detaining. It'll either move the progress marker, take your trust, you'll make you forfeit your access card. So it doesn't always mean that your turn's over. And then remember, you can be detained by multiple servants. If you end up in a spot with more than one, then you'll use all of their effects simultaneously. At the end of your actions, you'll end the round. So go through the checklist on the event card from the beginning of the round. You'll see if you're putting out a blue guard or not, or if you're paying for a benefit, or advancing the master plan. If all the blue guards are out and you need to place one more out, you'll just advance the red progress marker instead. Finally, if you completed any objectives on your missions, now is the point you'll get the benefits and the riot tokens. So if you're able to do 3 successful raids, or do 2 raids and get the discontent track all the way to the top, it counts as another one, you'll win. But if the machine gets the master plan marker to 12, then they win. I'll play through 2 rounds and so you can see how it flows and reassure you that it goes a lot simpler and smoother than it just sounded from everything I just went through. All right, we got the board set up. I'm playing Matouche, the soldier, Kulam, the weirdo with the crossbow, and Sylvia, the machine's creator, some sort of scientist. We've got the tokens, the goggles, the rows, and the birds. They are set up in their areas. 3 locations have been taken from them. There's 3 citizens that are arrested. Ready to go. Let's take a look at our first city event. Reported by a traitor. What we want to do is, at the end of the round, either one person or several people split up. Just want to spend a total of 2 trust to keep the blue guard from coming out. If we do that, we can collectively discard 2 more trust to increase discontent by 1. Master plan does not advance if, during this round, no hero chose an access card to the same district where they began the round, so we all want to move. And no special ability at the bottom. So we'll take our income. Matouche is here, Kulam's here, and Sylvia's here. Everybody's got 4 citizens where they're at, so they all start with 4. Trust. Choose where we want to go. I think, since we all should be moving, let's put Matouche up in the central square. Kulam, if he could stay where he's at, he would have more trust to spend, but he probably doesn't want to do that this turn. Let's go to the Velvet District right next door. And Sylvia, let's have her move up to the Tower of Law. Machine's turn. They're going to choose where Phantasmer goes. He pulls a card that says move to the right, which is directly here into the Art District. First, he wants to repair all guards. There's nobody broken, so he can't do that. He wants to take a district action. It's a minor district. He's just going to increase the progress marker backwards by 1 here. Judge Mentor is going to draw a movement. He wants to stay exactly where he's at. Arrest a famous citizen. Nobody's available to do. Repair all guards. Nobody's broken. Take a district action. In the Grand Citadel, there's no directives out, so he is going to draw one, but we don't know what it's going to be until he either goes to Tower of Law or Grand Citadel again and flips it up. Lex draws a card. She pulls the bird token. She's going to go wherever the person with the bird is. Sylvia has the bird token, so she is going to go up to the Science District, which doesn't detain her because that's not her final destination. So in the Science District, she wants to take a district action as her first thing. It's a minor district, so the progress marker will move back. And it is our turn now. Matouche is moving up to Central Square. He'll spend 2 trust since there's 2 guards from where he's leaving. He'll get 2 trust change. Nobody's there to detain him. While he's there, he can do Central Square action on the card, or he can break guards, he can identify people. I think he does want to do the Central Square action. So spending 1 trust per guard there would be 2. He'll raise discontent by the number of famous citizens minus the number of guards. 4 minus 2 is 2. We'll bump up 2 clicks here. Now the number 1 famous citizens are active for us if we can find some. Coulomb is next. He wants to move to the Velvet District. Spends 2 to move out of that district. Gets 2 change. He can take 2 different actions instead of 1 because he's Coulomb. As long as he doesn't start a riot on his first action and is not gaining trust. He wants to reveal a citizen for 2, since there's 2 guards there. We're going to look at this one. It is a traitor. No good. So that is worthless to us. Has his second action. He doesn't have any trust to spend. So what he's going to do is gain 1 trust. Sylvia is going to the Tower of Law. She'll spend 2 to leave that place with 2 guards. Get 2 change back. Now that she's there, she can cancel a published directive, but this one's not published yet, so we can't do that. Anybody can retrieve a forfeited access card. I don't know if we want to jump onto that yet. So I think what she'll do there is reveal a citizen for 2. We have a number 5, which is not great for us yet because we got to go all the way around that discontent track for that guy to be active. That is the end of our turn. We didn't think about keeping trust back, so we don't have enough to spend to keep the blue guard from coming out. So we are going to have a guard come out. See, the random token is the Science District. So we'll put 1 blue guard in here. It is now considered having 3 guards in there. We can't do the bonus because we didn't finish the first part. And then the master plan does not advance if no hero chose an access card to the same district where they began. So we all moved, so that does not happen. And we'll go on to event number 2. Lay low. We want to have 1 person at the end of the round in the industrial district. If we do, the hero in the industrial district started their turn in another district, then increase discontent by 1. That should be pretty easy. The master plan does not advance if during this round at least 2 heroes chose an access card to the same district where they began the round. So we want to have 2 people stay where they are. We want to have 1 person go into the industrial district. I think we can pull that off, but we might have somebody detained. So we will take income. Coulomb has 3 good citizens and 1 traitor, so he's only going to get 3 trust, which will bring him up to 4. Sylvia would normally get the 1 income for that citizen, but since her special ability is if she's in a major district that's not the central square, she can get an additional 3 trust. So she'll get 1, 2, 3, 4 altogether. And finally, Matouche is in Central Square with 4 citizens there. He'll get 4 trust. And we'll choose where we go. We'll put our cards back into our decks and choose. I think it's pretty cut and dry right now. We want Industrial District for Coulomb. Sylvia, I think she will risk staying in the Tower of Law. Matouche will risk staying in the Central Square. Let's see where the machine wants to go. Phantasmer takes a rest this turn, which is great for us. He'll be staying there. He will do no action, and he will not detain anybody. Judge Mentor wants to go left, but actually he cannot because there is no exit to the left, so we're going to go clockwise to the top. He's going to go up to the control nexus. First, he wants to arrest an active famous citizen. There is not one active there. Then he wants to repair all guards. There's nobody broken. He'll take a district action. District action to control nexus is to move or swap two places. We're going to look at our random tokens. We can pull out Commerce District that's available. It's got free sides. And the masks is the Art District. That is not actually available, so we'll discount that one. Pull another token. We've got the Industrial District. That is available. It has an open side on the right-hand side. So not much change, but we will be swapping bottom and top. That is the district action. We'll leave all these random tokens face up because we'll keep pulling from the face down pile. Lex's turn. She wants to go up, which will be up into the Tower of Law where we are, which is not fantastic. She wants to go up and take a district action in the Tower of Law. She wants to publish this directive now. So we're going to flip it over and see what it is. Shadow. So from now on, while this is out, servants are going to increase the cost of hero movements and actions in the same way as guards. So if we're leaving an area or we're paying for actions in the area and a servant's there, we're going to be paying extra. That's the end of her turn. We're going to go through our people. Matouche wants to stay in the central square. He has 4 to spend. He wants to do his break a guard action because he's got special ability. Instead of paying and guessing and then rolling the die, he wants to roll the die first and see what he would have to pay. He would pay 2 trust to break a guard. I think he will do that. So pay 2, get 2 change, and break 1 orange guard. Coulomb is going to the Industrial District. He'll pay 2 trust to get over there because of those 2 guards. I think we'll have him do his free action to drop this rose and then eventually have everybody else come down there and drop their roses to work on that first A mission. I actually haven't been doing the tokens for the B mission. We're supposed to drop these servant cards down whenever at the end of the round, wherever the servant is, so we can pick those up. I don't think that's made a difference yet for being able to do that, but we'll do that at the end of this round. While Coulomb's in the Industrial District, he's got 2 to spend. I think since he's taking 2 different actions for his special ability, he's going to spend 2 to get a citizen revealed. We have a number 1, which is good. This is an active citizen. She'll give him more income next round. Second action, he'll take 1 trust. And finally, Sylvia is going to be detained. So she is with Lex. Lex's detain ability says the hero forfeits their access card and finishes their turn. So she's going to lose her Tower of Law. And that's the end of her turn. She could still do her mission action if she wanted, but that's not something she can do here. That's the end of this phase. At least she still has her trust. Since the end of the round, we're going to lay low. We do have 1 person in the Industrial District, so no blue guard is coming out. Since there is somebody there that started their turn in another district, we can increase discontent by 1. Master plan does not advance if at least 2 heroes chose to stay in the same district. They did. So that's the end of that. I think we'll do 1 more round just to see if anything neat pops up. City event for round 3, retrials and bribes. We want to have 1 citizen in the Velvet District to stop a guard from coming out. If everybody's in a minor district at the end, everybody receives 2 trust. Master plan does not advance if at the end of the round at least 1 hero has all their access cards. I don't know if that's possible. And the special ability here, the heroes may take the Tower of Law special action B also in the Grand Citadel and the Control Nexus, which is the action that gets you your card back, your access cards back. Let's put down the servant tokens. So Phantasmer's here. That's available to pick up. Judge Mentor's here. His token's there, and Lex is up here. Start of the round, we'll get our income. We've got Sylvia getting 1 for that citizen, plus the 3 for her special effect. So now she's got 8. Matouche is still with 4 guards there. He'll get 4. And Coolum gets a little bonus here. He's got 3 regular citizens and then 1 active citizen right now. So that's 3, 4, 5 trust for him. We're banking right now. We're going to choose where to go. Let's, since we all have a bunch of trust, let's try and run all down to this industrial district and try and get this mission accomplished. I think Matouche has an industrial card, so he'll do that. Coolum doesn't have to stay there, so he's going to go somewhere else. He might go up to the Grand Citadel and try and get rid of that directive. And Sylvia is going to be paying extra since the servants is there, but she does have quite a bit. She will go. Let's run for it. Let's see if we can use that escape die. Let's try and get all the way down to the industrial district and see what happens. Still cards in the machine's deck, so we will pull the first one. Phantasmer wants to go to the Goggle Guy place. Goggle Guy is Matouche. It's right next door. Central Square. He wants to repair all guards, and there is a broken guard, so that's going to be his action. He's going to undo our good that we've done. Judge Mentor is resting for the round, which is nice. And Lex is going to the Central Square as well, actually. So that's going to be very expensive for me to leave that area. Her action is to take the district action. District action in the Central Square is to bump the progress marker 4 minus 2 for the citizens minus the guard. So she'll be bumping it 2 towards our discontent. So we've only got 2 more sections before that fires off. Luckily, that's all they did this turn, so now it's us. We've got Matouche going to the industrial district. So it will be 4 trust for him to leave here, 2 trust for him to leave here. And that is all of his trust, but he will do his free action where he drops his goggles here. That's 2 out of 3 for our mission A. He's out of trust to spend, but he'll do his action to gain 1 trust. Next, Coolum is going to the Grand Citadel. He'll move 2 and 2 trust worth of spaces. That's 4. At the Grand Citadel, he can discard 1 unpublished directive. And that will cost him 1 trust per guard there, so 2. We're going to knock this shadow directive out of the game. Finally, Sylvia is coming all the way down to the industrial district. If she comes this way, she'll avoid that blue guard, which is going to bump up the movement cost, and she'll avoid the servants, which is bumping up the movement cost. She'll move 2 trust, 2 trust, 2 trust, which is 6. She did have enough, so she didn't have to worry about rolling the escape die. She's got 2 left. She will drop down her mission token in that district. We've got them all, but we have to wait till the end of the round to activate the successful mission. With her 2 trust there, she's going to reveal another citizen. It's a number 2, which is going to be coming up pretty soon, so we're on our way to a pretty good looking riot district right now. I forgot to do Coolum's second action. His second action will just gain 1 trust. It's the end of Sylvia's turn. We'll look at the event card for the end of the round. We do not have somebody in the Velvet District, so we're going to be putting out a random blue guard. Random token says the Control Nexus is going to get another blue guard. So we're not able to do the second action on there because we've lost that. Master Plan doesn't advance if at least 1 hero has all their access cards, so we are actually going to advance Master Plan up to 2. And we didn't take advantage of the bottom ability there, but that's the end of that event. End of the round, we did have an active, successful mission. We've got all of our minor tokens here, so we will return them to who they belong to. If all hero tokens are in the minor district, you'll place the ambush token there. So Industrial District now has an ambush token. If the servant ends up there, you will discard the token to deactivate the servant until the end of the next round. So it's like a free, don't worry about this servant for another round. And we'll get 1 riot token to use. So that is our collective riot token number 1. This A is completed, but we still got to complete B to have access to the C. So we'll have to start collecting the tokens from these guys. We're going to move them to where they are now. He's stayed there. Phantasm stayed there. Judgmentor stayed there. Lex is down here now. And Phantasmer's over here now. So they're both right there. So we had somebody move up there. They'd be able to do their free action once to grab one of those tokens. And I guess we'll stop there. That is a pretty good idea of the things that can happen in this game and give you an idea of how it's a little bit different from the base game, but it still has quite a bit going on. As we play, we'll probably be pushing up our discontent, moving some citizens around to try and hook up a good spot for a riot and just hope that they don't get arrested beforehand. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope that gives you a smoother, quicker idea of what's going on in the solo game, and I hope you have a great game if you win or lose. Hope you have a great time. Thanks for listening.